from last session, and I demonstrate the Industry 4.0 and Industry IIoT showcase as shown in this slide. Uh, the IIoT solutions have the core of the Industry IoT platform. I use the Ignition platform as the co-component as the virtual factory showing in this diagram. And it's really bridged the OT side for the device for the simulation purpose. We can totally abstract the physical device on the OT. And also for the IT side, there are two different threads. One is for the manufacturer perspective, production pipelines. The ERP get work order and bring to the manufacturer execution systems to execute the production. And on the other thread is from the maintenance and operation perspective to maintain the assets or the device on site to make sure it can support the continuous manufacturer activities. The major product is called Enterprise Asset Management, IBM, and SAP are the leader in these areas. And also the computationalized machine maintenance service that is really to extend it to predictive maintenance or to the like equipment advisor, those kind of the use case. Now, in the demo, mostly I just say, hey, how can I create the agent? How can I showcase the value for the agent? The value for the agent is really to understand the data and then make sense to the human communication. So in this diagram, go through the MCP. I create the MCP to abstract the OPC UA and with the agent to communicate with the actor. It could be the field engineer or the field managers to understand it. And in this session, I'm going to extend this to be the local large language model. From the last session, we just randomly use whatever large language model available. You can use the ChatGPT, Gemini, or whatever free edition. But now, in the real case, there are I let's go back to the slides I prepared for today. The local deployment. There are clear business values here. One is cost saving. You don't need to pay by the tokens for the subscription. And number two is the security and the privacy. And for many industries, they don't want to send the data the to the cloud or to the large language model providers and to exclosure those information. And the third thing is even more important because you want to customize the model, the large language model through the fine tuning and to fit better for the verticals. So in this case, you must do the local deployment or you do the on-prem or private deployment. So this is very important. But technology of the local deployment is very easy. And in here, I choose the two different providers. One is Ollama, one is LLM Studio. Both very easy. Actually, I already installed, so I'm not going to go through the steps. And the first thing is the Ollama. And after you install the Ollama, download it and install in your Windows system, and then you can see this. And the just a couple of command line, you can pull in the whatever and the model you're interested in to the local deployment, and you are ready to go. And similarly, for the ARM studios, it's even easier. It's everything is they have the very nice, powerful ARM studio, and you can have most of the functions of the Cherry Studio, and then you can have the MCP, you can have the tools, and you can have the knowledge base so that you can build up the agent. So this is two things. The the one I would like to showcase is okay, you get the Ollama, you get the ARM Studio. In this case, both of them I use the same model. So the model provided by the Ollama, model provided by the LLM Studio is the Mistral model. That is a pretty popular, like 7 billion parameters model, to used to deploy to the locally. Since I do not have the GPU, this model performance have certain impaction. The interesting thing is, if I got these Cherry Studio and I did a couple of tests here. And the nice thing is, okay, number one is I already enabled the batch plan control, which is my MCP. If you remember from last session, I have the four tools in this MCP is to retrieve the factory information, retrieve the container information, and you can turn on the pump and turn off the pump. Here is I use the like three different kind of for example, I can select this one, I can select this one, and I can select uh, online models. Three models running together. I already running like several runs here. For example, I say, hey, show me the factory studios. All these three give the different answers. Obviously, in the middle, this is online large language model, and they give the results very simple and make a lot of sense. It makes sense immediately and show that. And as for the mystery model, which is the much smaller, there are by the two different providers, by the LM Studio and by the Ollama. First, there's certain hallucination there and the thinking logic there. And like Ollama, they really give the answer, eventually give the same answer as large language model, but for the AIM Studio, they give a little bit different. Actually, they give the like a container levers. So a little bit hallucination to make this not an accurate. So this is a showcase. Say, hey, the Cherry Studio is really compare with the online model and local deployment by the different providers, by the LLM Studio, by the Ollama, and you can do that. And also, I can do it again. Local model is pretty slow. So show me the factory status. So after I launch this program, need to, and you can see um, from the GRM 4.5, which is the online model, is come immediately and a very simple, very concise, make a lot of sense. And now the Ollama deployment and the LLM Studio deployment is going to be a little bit slow down. Maybe I can pause the video and until I get the results, we can review that. Yeah. Okay, after a few minutes, and I just resume the recording. First of all, it's only take a few seconds for the big model online, and the answer is totally makes sense. They really get the status of the factory systems, and also the Mr. deployment through the ARM Studio, and they have some hallucinations. This kind of answer doesn't satisfy the queries. And from the worst perspective, Ollama deployment is still running and running some error, but the thinking process is correct. So uh, this showcase present two things. The first, using the Cherry Studio, you can very nicely to compare the different models, ask the same questions and compare. When you're doing the local test or verification, this is the very nice way to compare them. And number two is local deployment. Even though the same model with the different providers may get the different answer, this is expected because large language model, the answer is always have the uncertainties. And what I surprised me is the hallucination is pretty serious. And also, considering this virtual machine does not have the GPU support. So that's probably the reason why it's a slowdown. Now, we go back to the agenda, and we are already showing the Ollama model deployment and the LLM Studio deployment. And also we test through the cherry schedule one by one, and we go through the solution comparisons. And in this video series, I do not focus on the steps, step by step, because from my perspective, on Ollama installation or the ARM Studio installation, it can be the easiest way is either follow the product document and it takes a few minutes. You can install and configure and load the model. And also, you can ask ChatGPT or the large language model how to follow the steps. In this kind of series model, I focus on the solution ideas. And also, this is a have the pretty interesting extended use case we can explore. After get the local model deployed, I'm going to maybe do some research on the environment, make optimize the environment. Then we can doing some choose some model, doing the fine tuning, and so that make the model to make sense to the domain specific terminologies. That could be the pretty interesting next steps. And when we go back to um, the overview architecture, now today's session, we focus on the local large language model deployment and deployed by the two different providers, by the Ollama, by the LLM studios. Looks like they do have the different performance, even though the same model deployed by the different providers. And it compared to the large language model subscribed do have the significant performance gap, both from the response time perspective and from the response results perspective. So there is a lot of things needed to explore, and also it is a very exciting things to gather the local model and do the fine tuning and move forward with the MLOps, and that is really simulate the production tasks for the many like factories, manufacturer, or the business need the privacy or the security to really demanding the on-prem deployment. So this concludes this session, and I look forward to the next session.